Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with random reviews from the Overflow Room. And today, we're going to begin our rather extensive survey of Felix Mendelssohn. But first, we have a brief prelude. And the prelude is Peter Mennin. First of all, this is on CRI, Composers Recordings. Remember those? In the American Masters series, we've got Symphony No. 3 with the New York Phil and Dmitri Mitropoulos, the Piano Concerto with John Ogden and the Royal Philharmonic under Igor Bukatov, and the Seventh Symphony with the Chicago Symphony and Jean Martineau. Now, most of these were reissued in their respective boxes, the New York Phil, the Metropolis box, the Metropolis thing, and the Symphony No. 7 in the Martineau box, and the Piano Concerto. Well, I don't recall that ever showing up anywhere else. There was a whole series of contemporary music with Igor Bukatov and the Royal Philharmonic. I mean, there was Richard Rodney Bennett's First Symphony, I think, and the Sessions' Second Symphony or Third Symphony. All kinds of interesting things. I had the series back on LP in the old days, and so that was part of that series. And here they all are. So I hung on to this just for that reason, and also to hear John Ogden, who was always splendid and interesting in contemporary music. So that was fun. So that's sticking around. Peter Mennin is a really good American neoclassicist, a fine composer who evolved his style into something quite angry and gnarly toward the end of his career. Very, very interesting. He ran Juilliard before William Schumann got it. And I actually knew his daughter. She was an attorney in New York City, actually, and a flute player, if I'm not mistaken. Very, very nice person. Okay, then we've got Wilhelm Mengelberg, the Concertgebouw Orchestra of the New York Philharmonic. These are from, God knows when, 1935, 1925 through 38 on Symposium. And you've got the Alceste Overture, Beethoven's Leonora Overtures 1 in Egmont, Schubert Rosamunde, Weber Oberon, Berlioz Roman Carnival, Wagner Lohengrin, Act 1, the Mahler Adagietto, which is well known. I mean, it's on YouTube, for heaven's sake. Probably most of this stuff is by now. And Tchaikovsky's March Slav. And I really have no interest in Mengelberg, I have to tell you. I mean, he was an interesting conductor. He got really wacky later in his career. And it started doing all kinds of bizarre things, and people like to listen to his recordings because he does these bizarre things. And he built the Concertgebouw, of course, into the great orchestra that it is, which means he was important. He was important at a minimum for doing that. But as a great interpreter of everything, I find that the world would not be any different for his absence. And that's just me. All the Dutch people can start jumping up and down and screaming and carrying on now, as they are wont to do whenever the subject of Mengelberg comes up, because of course he was a Nazi collaborator, or at least he was accused of such, and was completely wrapped up in his own strange egomaniacal world that didn't give a damn about anybody or anything else. And so as a result of that, he lost his position at the Concertgebouw and wound up, in disgrace. And since then, there are people who've been trying to rehabilitate him, and there's all this political bullshit back and forth, none of which has anything to do with music. So that's Mengelberg. Now we get to talk about Mendelssohn. Now, Mendelssohn here in the Overflow Room is going to be an interesting thing, because I wrote a book about Mendelssohn, and I really enjoyed writing the book about Mendelssohn because I got to know him really, really well. And as a result of that, I listened to a lot. And so there was a good chunk of Mendelssohn back behind me in the Overflow Room, but there was a lot more of it on the back wall. a lot of Mendelssohn in there, because I had to, behind the weights, because I had to listen to a lot more Mendelssohn, and so I started collecting tons and tons of Mendelssohn. And so we're going to do both. We'll do both, and Mendelssohn's going to take a while to get through, because that's what happens when you write a book. That's when you write a book about a composer. If you want to listen to it, I tried to get my hands on everything the man wrote in multiple versions, so that I could really get to know the music. And one thing I did get to know is that the general sort of opinion of Mendelssohn as a sort of foppish, dandy, limp-wristed, Victorian, conservative, tight-assed, it's all wrong. It's all totally wrong. I mean, his style was the result of his education and upbringing. But he was a genuine romantic. He was neurotic. He was compulsively self-critical. And he was the greatest musical prodigy probably since Mozart and Korngold, those three. Yeah. And he had very high standards and wrote tons of exquisite music. So this is going to be fun. And actually, we're starting with one of the things that really was one of the great pieces of reappraisal for me, his Lobgesang Symphony, number 2. It's a symphonic cantata. It has, 3 orchestral movements and then a whole choral extravaganza based on, the work that we always wear a tie for, but I can't mention it because I don't have a tie. You know which one it is, the big symphony with the chorus at the end, that one. But it's also very different in its own way. It has its own style, and it's splendid. It's beautiful. It's never boring. That's the thing. You see, what I always thought about this piece was that it was really rather dull, and because I never paid attention to it. You don't listen to it. And when you have 3 nice instrumental movements and then all this screaming in German, and you just sort of go, who cares? Well, you pay attention. And it's really, really beautiful. There's this glorious sunrise section, and it's all kinds of good stuff in it. So it's lovely. And this is a very interesting performance. It's with the Kammerchor Stuttgart and the Deutsche Kammerphilharmonie Bremen. We know how fabulous they are. Under Frieder Bernius on Karus. It's a gentle choral conductors type performance. That is, it's not big. It's not... he doesn't whip things up into a fury. It's very sensitively done. And really, really a lovely performance. I mean, it's very beautiful and serious and full of, I don't know. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very much, even though it's not as grand as like Karajan would make some sort of, extravaganza. Sometimes works are better when you don't try to inflate them. And Mendelssohn never tried to inflate anything. That was one of his great virtues. But he can stand it under the right circumstances, but you don't have to. And Bernius doesn't. He just plays it very sensitively, and I enjoyed that. Then we've got, let's see, the Octets for strings. Mendelssohn's Octet and Niels Gada's Octet, which is quite beautiful. Very beautiful, obviously influenced by the Mendelssohn, with Larka-Budelli and the Smithsonian Chamber Players. On period Stradivarius instruments or something like that. I don't know. They're nice performances. This is Sony Vivarte, and the Gada's a real discovery. If you don't know Niels Gada's Octet, give it a listen. You won't be sorry. Then we've got, symphonies. Okay. The Italian and the Scottish. The first with Tenstedt in Berlin, the second with the New Philharmonia in Muti. They're both very, very good performances. And here they are as a cheapy Seraphim EMI thing, which is nice to have. A beautiful recording. The Songs Without Words, complete, played by Livia Rev on Hyperion. This is early Hyperion. This was recorded in 1986. Wow, back in the day. And they're beautiful performances. Absolutely lovely. Livia Rev was a fine pianist, sensitive artist, and the Songs Without Words are just wonderful. I mean, they're just gorgeous. They're salon pieces. Okay, so what? They're really, really good. Even the spring song, la 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 la. Well, it's actually much better than that. I mean, the way Mendelssohn actually wrote it, which is how we never hear it. So, yeah, Songs Without Words are cool. And they were actually kind of revolutionary in their day for what they were. Lots of other composers took on the idea of Songs Without Words thanks to Mendelssohn. So give him credit. Just give him a little credit. Mendelssohn Brook Violin Concertos, Nathan Milstein, the Philharmonia, Leon Barzin, the stereo ones. They're fabulous. Nathan Milstein, it's fabulous. And we've got the Piano Concertos with Murray Pariah, Neville Mariner, and the Academy. along with the Prelude and Fugue, Opus 35, number 1, which is just one of the greatest piano pieces in the universe, the Variation Sérieuse, which is terrific, and the Rondo Capriccioso. These are all great works, and they're wonderfully played by Pariah, and this is oodles and oodles of fun. The piano concertos don't get the credit they deserve either, because the second kind of sounds like the first, only it's a bit longer, and both of them are kind of short and compact and fun to listen to, and they don't require that much effort or aggravation, and so people piss on them. That's the way classical music works. And then we've got this thing. Oh, yeah. Franz Bruggen and the Orchestra of the 18th Century, with the Italian, the Reformation, the Hebrides Overture, the Scottish, and the Becalmed Sea and Prosperous Voyage Overtures. Now, this is with the Orchestra of the 18th Century. It's not one of Bruggen's better efforts. You know, Bruggen should have stopped before Beethoven, basically. I mean, Beethoven is on the cusp. And after that, no. These period instrument people just don't get it, because the truth of the matter is that the modern symphony orchestra was designed and evolved to play this repertoire, including Mendelssohn, and it just sounds so much better that way. It really does. But, you know, he gives it a shot, and what the hell. So there you have it, the first part of what's going to be a very interesting excursion through the wonderful and still largely little-known oeuvre of Felix Mendelssohn. Cool stuff. So keep on listening, friends. Thanks for joining me. Take care.